Hello, everybody, and welcome to the St. Patrick's Day Slam edition of the Market Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm joined by Danny Hernandez and James DeSanti. We got a lot to go over today. It's also Austin 316 Day, so open a beer and let's get to it.
Can you do that on YouTube?
I can now. All right, so this was a very jam-packed episode of AEW Dynamite, but we're going to start at the main event because it obviously is the big news of the night. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's Championship, the brand new belts in a steel cage for the first time in the history of the women's division. Now, it was about a year to the date. I do believe the actual match was on St. Patrick's Day, but about a year to the date since their lights out match, which, as we all know, was an unbelievable match. This was in Thunder Rosa's adopted hometown of San Antonio, so she was getting the biggest pops of the night, more than even the Hardys, who we'll get to later. Like, she was, she was red hot.
No, she was. She deservedly so. Yeah. Deservedly so.
So Thunder came out. She had a mariachi band to bring her out, and I thought her ring walk attire was awesome. It was noted by commentary that Britt came out without Rebel, not Reba, and Jamie Hayter, since it was a steel cage. And then they also noted her black and white attire in honor of Scott Hall, who obviously passed recently. So just some quick notes on this. Obviously, this was another great match between the two of them. I feel like their hardcore matches are better than their regular ones. But Britt was bleeding 5 minutes in. Thunder was full crimson mask. Yes, full crimson mask by the time we came out of commercial. Thunder hit a stunner because it's 316 Day, which was cool. But we'll get towards more of the end of the match here, some of the bigger spots. Paul Turner, the referee, took both a super kick and then was smashed into the cage. And then right after that, Thunder hit a Fire Thunder driver, but obviously no referee, so she didn't pick up the pinfall there. Shortly after that, Britt hit an avalanche air raid crash off the second rope into just a stack of chairs, after which Aubrey Edwards came running down into the cage, counted the pinfall, but Thunder was able to kick out. After that, a bit later, Britt built a leaning tower of chairs. It's a bit of a tongue twister there.
That was tough, but you did it well.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Then the both of them ascended to the top rope. Thank you. And we're trading blows until Thunder smashed Britt into the cage, and then she fell through the tower she built. Very Kevin Owens of her. We brought thumbtacks back again. Thunder got back body dropped onto them, and then Britt tried to get in the lockjaw. Thunder bit her hand, so then Britt tried to adjust the positioning so that she was using her other hand, and Thunder slammed that hand into the tacks so that Britt couldn't use it for the lockjaw. Eventually, after biting in and out of the ring, Thunder hit the Fire Thunder driver onto the tacks, picked up the win, and we have a new champion. I felt really bad for Aubrey Edwards having to make that count in the thumbtacks. And then as they were going off air, Dustin Rhodes, who I believe is a native, not of San Antonio itself, but he's from Texas, came out to congratulate Thunder as, like I said, they were going off the air. So there was a lot in this match. It was really cool. It was really violent. I personally love that they can't escape the cage, which I think just makes for way better cage matches. So Danny, we got a new champ. What do you think of this match? And what do we think about Thunder Rosa being the new AEW Women's Champion?
Oh man, I think a lot of things, mostly good things. But I do find it funny that I feel like they're gonna, whenever they have a cage match, the cage will be adjusted whether or not the participants want to use weapons from under the ring. Because when the Bucks faced the Lucha Bros, they couldn't get to the floor, but here the ladies were able to get to the floor. But we obviously know why, because it's a Britt Baker Thunder Rosa match, and Britt's gonna bleed and fall in thumbtacks. So, they had to do it. But this was great. This got a lot of time. It's had a main event feel. Thunder's entrance was great. I don't know if this was an intentional misdirect, but when Aubrey came down and the cage door was left open, I really thought that, Hater or Rebel were going to run down, so I was almost thinking, because the whole time going into it, it's like, okay, this is where they give it to Rosa. But they planted that tiny seed of doubt, or maybe it was just an accident. I overanalyzed, but.
No, I thought the same thing.
It's years of trauma from WWE.
More or less.
And not even just WWE, almost every wrestling company, really. So years of trauma.
Yeah, but this was great. I kind of wish they didn't even have the match at the pay-per-view, but I understand that they use that to set this up. But this was great. This was so much better than the pay-per-view. This lived up to, I think, the expectations a lot of people had for the pay-per-view match. And I think it's great. There was only ever really one person that was going to beat Britt, and it was Thunder Rosa. And here we are. So whatever happens next, who knows? But it's off to a great start because it was someone won in their, granted adopted, but someone won in their hometown. So the crowd goes wild. So they feel like even more of a star. Novel concept, right?
Yeah, and you could tell winning in San Antonio was very important for Thunder because she was so emotional after winning the title. So that was great for her. And I have to agree with you, Danny. I thought this was much better than their pay-per-view match. Again, their pay-per-view match was a traditional match, and I don't remember if there were weapons involved or whatever, but these two just do better when they can use weapons against each other. I don't know what it's an odd type of chemistry, but if it works, right, James?
Oh, I completely agree. I was very vocal that I was kind of disappointed by their match at the pay-per-view. And, there's some speculation why. Maybe it was that Thunder was hurt. That's something that was reported. Maybe they were saving for this match. Whatever the reason, they more than made up for it. And this is a feud that, it's a year to the day or almost a year to the day since their unsanctioned Lights Out match. But this feud has been going on even longer. It went on for months prior to that. So this is a long build, a long road to get here. And they more than crossed the finish line. I love the match. I love the physicality. Danny, you said it. The amount of time they got, this felt main event worthy. The crowd ate it up. I want more of this. Maybe not more of Britt and Thunder, but I want more emphasis on the women's division. I want more importance on the women's division. And as exciting as it is that Thunder won, I've been a huge Thunder mark for a while now. There's not enough that can be said about Britt and her reign. I know by the end, we were just kind of waiting to see who was going to take it off her, but she had a great run. She carried that division for a long time. And I think she elevated almost everybody that she worked with. So hats off to both of these women. Hats off to AEW for delivering this match. And I'm very excited for what's next.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wait, real quick, Dragoon, what's up? As always in the chat. But yeah, I probably am wrong about whatever I say tonight. So that's fair.
Welcome back, Dragoon. James, I am 100% with you. I think that the women's division needs to be showcased like this more. They have a lot of these women, not just Thunder and Britt, but a lot of these women have proven that they can be showcased at this level more often. And it's quite frankly a shame that they're not. So hopefully Tony starts pushing that more and we get, two to, more than just two matches at top, what seems at most on an episode of Dynamite. Give me 3 or possibly even 4, depending on, the night. They did have a decent amount of segments though tonight, which is good, but a lot of it was prepping for Rampage. So but we'll get to that in a bit. The other thing I think is the Britt Thunder dynamic seems to me a lot like the dynamic a lot of the 4 pillars on the men's side have, where we're going to be seeing the two of them fight for a really long time. Every time it's going to get better and more bloody and just more awesome.
I'm fine with them being forever rivals. I think that's an important thing in wrestling. I think there are
Yeah.
certain figures that throughout your career, you're going to always sort of gravitate towards, and it's going to mean something to the crowd. That said, you don't want to overdo it either. There is something special about, say, a Cena Rock or a Trish Lita. But then when you get to a, did I say Cena Rock, by the way?
Yeah, did you mean Stone Cold?
Yeah, I meant Stone Cold Rock. And then my bad example was going to be Cena Orton. You don't want a Cena Orton. You want a Rock Austin. You don't want a Charlotte Becky. You want a Trish Lita. You want these people to come in and out, but not feel like every time they get together, you're going to see the same thing because you've seen it 5,000 times already. So if we go a couple of years between now and the next Thunder Brit singles match, I think everyone is going to benefit from it. And it's going to feel like money when we get there.
Yeah, no, I'm totally okay with that. And that's like exactly what I mean. Like, I don't need to see this for a minute. Like, I just saw it twice in a very short period of time, which is pretty rare for AEW, but it's clear. I think it's clear now they wanted to set up this win in San Antonio for Thunder. But like, yeah, if we don't see this for a couple of years, I am totally fine with that. And it'll be absolutely lit when they do it again.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think we'll go 3 or a couple of years without it, but I think we won't see it for at least like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was wishful thinking a couple of years, but I also can't imagine a scenario where Britt is going to be at the top of the list for the women's title. I see her moving on eventually to the TBS title.
Yeah. Jay doesn't have anybody right now, but I don't know if they're ready to take it off just yet.
I'm talking several months down the line. So especially, I don't think AEW, like, they'll do it, but they don't really enjoy doing the heel versus heel thing. Although I don't know how much longer Britt is going to be a heel, as good as she is at it.
I'd say that she actually, before she turns face, she actually loses to Jade as a heel. So that way she can lose to Jade, but be somewhat protected because, it's just easier to beat heels than baby faces. So if she does go for the TBS title anytime soon, I think it's just to put Jade over real quick before moving on into hopefully just a regular feud, because like we were just saying, hopefully we can start having those now, having feuds for non-title contenders.
I'm very much on board for the Jamie Hayter Britt Baker feud. Like, I feel like that's just like Wardlow and MJF before them, we're just building towards it, but they're doing it at a very different pace because the women only have so much time. But I think we're going to get there. And I think Jamie Hayter is just a star waiting to shoot in the sky. So
I think so too, but I think she has to be the heel in that.
I think so too. Yeah. Completely agree.
Yeah. Complete role reversal from MJF and Wardlow. All right, but so congrats to Thunder Rosa, but let's move on here. We're going to go all the way back to the top of the card. And in slightly Britt Baker related news, Adam Cole and Red Dragon faced Hangman Adam Page and Jurassic Express in a 6-man tag. This was cool. I mean, it was a good starting match, got the crowd pretty hot. I thought it was funny where Hangman had the hot tag in the middle of the match, and I was like, Hangman is still such a good hot tag, even though he's not a tag team wrestler anymore. And he might not be the biggest hot tag in this match because Luchasaurus is standing right there. and Jungle Boy's a good hot tag too. Like, there was just a team of hot tags. It was awesome. The triple moonsault spot was great.
Spot of the night for me.
I would say so as well. The double Doomsday device that Jungle Boy hit was really cool.
Other spot of the night.
And I mean, what I felt was a bit of a surprising end here. Jungle Boy would not only ate the pin, but he would. It was finished clean. It was a clean ending to the match. I know he was hit with 2 finishers. He was hit with both the high-low and then the Adam Cole low of the boom. But it was still just a bit of a surprise to me. But I guess it was to help play into Hangman didn't pick the Dark Order storyline we're going with here. But Uh, James, did you find that weird that Jungle Boy? Not even that it was Jungle Boy, just but that it was a clean ending.
Uh, I mean, clean. I mean, I don't think there's ever been an AEW tag match that felt 100% clean with just how the blatant disregard for the rules. And I love that JR calls it out every time and nobody ever does anything about it. But no, I'm not that surprised. I'm a big believer established units should always beat the thrown together teams. It doesn't matter that you have the tag team champions there. Adam Cole is not a part of that unit. Adam Cole, God, wow. Hangman is not a part of that unit. I guess Adam Cole isn't a part of that unit either. But
well, I mean, not to interrupt, but like he did win or at least help defend the tag titles in NXT with.
No, I was joking that Adam Cole wasn't a part of Jurassic Express because I messed up. Yeah, but I'm glad that the actual 3-man unit beat the 2 guys thrown together with the 3rd guy. I think that's the way it's supposed to go. And Jungle Boy taking the pin, somewhat surprising, but Adam Cole has shown on multiple occasions he has Jungle Boy's number. I think the only time Jungle Boy got the win was at the pay-per-view match. And that took a lot to get there. You know, that was a very coming of age story for Jungle Boy. So I think 9 times out of 10, we're going to see Cole get the win until they're ready to pull the trigger on Jungle Boy. And let's be honest, how many times can we see Luchasaurus eat the pin? You know, it's fair to even it out a little bit with Jungle Boy here and there. And there is no way Hangman is ready to eat a pin. So I think this was the way it needed to go.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I wasn't really predicting anything, and I was just like, oh shit, it ended like that. Like it was just a little surprising for me. But now, like I said earlier, Danny, this does advance the storyline where Hangman didn't pick the Dark Order and they lost. So what I wonder what this means now for their relationship.
I actually really like that you brought that up. It made me appreciate this more because I was like, this match was fantastic, but like I wasn't super into it despite that, you know, because that's how spoiled we are with AEW that a fantastic match can be like, whatever.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
So I'm actually really excited to see what happens next with Hangman and the Dark Order, and I think that's where my investment lies in the storyline more so than Adam Cole still being in the title picture. But I also am looking at this more of a way to get Red Dragon into the tag title picture because
yes, please.
They beat the champs, even though they weren't the ones to make the pin. They still beat the champs. And also, I think Jungle Boy does take his fair share of pins. I think Jungle Boy loses a lot on TV, honestly. But he pretty much beats anyone below his level and loses to everyone above his level, which makes sense when I said that out loud. But like, I feel like he's taking his fair share, but Luchasaurus was in this match, though. It was great, and he's over. He always gets Luchasaurus chance. So, you know, he's the most deserving champion on the roster.
I think the thing with Jungle Boy losing, though, is a lot of times either there's some outside interference or, you know, the foreign objects introduced. It's usually something like, so when I say clean, meaning like there was no outside interference or foreign objects or anything like that. He got hit with 2 finishers and he lost. Like that makes a whole lot of sense because even when he does lose, he's very well protected. So
yeah, and he's young too. So like, you know, not that they should beat that excuse into the ground, but he can lose a match once in a while because he's still young and naive.
Yeah, no, it made a lot of sense. It just caught me off guard, I think. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Because faces usually win these types of matches.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We had a quick Keith Lee, Ricky Starks Powerhouse Hobbs backstage promo where they did a quick Rampage recap of Hobbs spine-bustering Lee and Ricky saying if Lee came on Rampage again, because it's his show, that they were going to kick the shit out of him. And Keith Lee was said, all I remember is you lying there after I punched you like a little bitch. I'll see you on Friday. And that was that. After that, we had John Moxley and Bryan Danielson versus the best friends. In this case, it was Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta. One of the first things I noticed straight off the bat was I forgot how much I love Regal on commentary. I thought he was great. Not only was he Regal explaining everything, but at the very beginning of the match, during the entrances, he goes to Excalibur. Pray tell, man in the mask, who is the demon Wraith?
Waif, demon waif.
Did he say Waif? I thought he said Wraith. Either way, that's still fucking funny as hell, and Excalibur had to explain it away. I think Wheeler Yuta stole the show in this match, and obviously he was supposed to. But I say every week, every time we see him, he gets better and better every time I see him, and he looked great. Regal was putting him over on commentary like crazy. He got a Yuta chance. The match did eventually end though, and this was a very good tag team match, but it did end with Moxley tapping out Wheeler after Brian stomped his fucking head in. And then as the best friends were all leaving the ring, Wheeler went back down into the ring to shake Regal's hand. Regal slapped the shit out of him, to which Wheeler responded by getting up in his face, and then Regal let him walk instead of kicking the shit out of him. So bit of a tease there, Danny, to Wheeler Yuta joining perhaps this little Regal faction, as Brian's been trying to do in the last couple of weeks.
Oh man. So, I loved the cage match, and that was probably my favorite part of this particular show. But like, this is my favorite thing in AEW right now. Like by far, it's I care about Wheeler Yuta now. Like one night, boom, he could have not wrestled for months before this. I would just, oh god, this was fantastic. Because I'm one of those people where I'm like, yo, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, why are they always on TV all the time? These mid-carders, they're just there to lose. Like, I get it. Like, you give them the match to make them look good, but then they kept having matches, and I was like, that's kind of annoying. But this one match, I don't care about any of that anymore. I'm fully behind this. I want him in this group. Someone I didn't care about really at all. Someone who I'm like, you don't belong in the best friends. You're not weird enough. Like, you're a little too normal, Like, you don't even have your mom drive you to the ring. Like, what do you have? I don't understand. But now I want him with them. I like that they tease it without fully just accepting him immediately. Because now I want to see some dissension with the best friends, where he tries to just still be with them, and they're kind of, weary of him because him going to shake Regal's hand was really more of a, excuse me, sir, can I please join your really awesome match? And that slap, oh my God. First of all, Regal, bro, you got to get your aim a little better. That was his neck. That was not his face. That was right.
He got him like right in the jawline, like
right on the bone.
There was so much beard there that it gets lost. But man, he clubbed him.
Absolutely, yeah. But fantastic. Also, just a small thing, when Brian was about to kick his head in, Moxley was just on the ropes, like really excited to watch that. And that was just a small detail I really liked in the match, where he was like, oh yeah, this is the part where he fucking stomps the guy's brains in. I want to see that. But yeah, this was great. I love this. This is my favorite story in AEW right now.
I think a few episodes ago, I forget if it was last episode or the episode before that when we went live, Eric was in the chat complaining that he had no desire to ever see Wheeler Yuta on his screen again, as I was, exclaiming how much I'm enjoying see this kid get better and better. But that's why you have him on the screen and show his progression as a wrestler, because Eric was like, oh, he has no character. And in one match, all of a sudden, this kid has all of the character, not all of the character, but enough now where, Danny, even you care about him. And it's pretty hard to get, used to care about people. So that's why you do shit like this. We know this kid can wrestle. Now we know he's got a bit of character in him. He's willing to fucking stand up for himself. He's not going to back down from, two of the toughest dudes in the company and fucking Regal. I thought this did so much for him in such a short amount of time. Like, I'm really excited for him, James. I'm really hyped to see where this goes.
Real quick, so wouldn't you love if he if Brian and Mox just took like one of the lower guys from like every faction in AEW?
Yes, please. Yes. I know I've been really big on them taking in Daniel Garcia, but I'd almost love it at this point if they just ended up taking one of the 2.0 guys instead, just because I think it would be funnier. But in all seriousness, I've been a Yuta fan for a while. I've been liking his stuff in AEW. I think his bits, like watching BTE being the elite, like it made me feel more endeared to him than I guess if you weren't watching BTE. But I went out and I looked up some of his indie stuff and I saw the talent with him. And man, tonight's show this was his before and after moment. Like, this is it. Like, it's not any of his stuff with the best friends, as good as that was for him. This is the before and after, because they're going to be building towards something for him. And I don't know if Nick, if you touched on it, but when Regal was doing commentary, he sort of laid the seeds for it. He mentioned that when he slapped Brian and when he slapped Moxley, he wanted one of them to just punch him in the face. That's what he was expecting. That's what he wanted from them. And that's almost what he got tonight from Yuta. Yuta went to shake his hand. Regal slapped him. And what does Yuta do? He gets right back in his face. He doesn't cower. He doesn't back down away from anybody. It was a nice bit of foreshadowing. And it shows that Yuta, even if they didn't show it tonight, even if it's not the direction they went tonight, Yuta is what Regal is looking for from these AEW wrestlers. Yuta is what this group is looking for. So
with that in mind, I feel like Garcia will be the one to hit him. If Regal slaps Danny Garcia, Garcia will be the one to like punch him.
I don't know if a sports entertainer will do that, but I would love it. I hate that Garcia's with this Jericho Appreciation Society.
We'll get to it later.
Yeah.
I hated it until tonight, honestly.
Yeah, I think we'll get into it later, because there is one bright spot to that. But regardless of it, good on Yuta. Can we just acknowledge that Moxley is a heel now? Like, there's no like really denying it. Like, he's attacking people before the match starts. He's acting like a goon for Regal. He's a heel. Like, there's no real denying it. It's like the same people who were denying Brian was turning heel during the Hangman feud. Like, even though Brian was totally justified in the wrestling world, that's a heel. So I think Moxley's a heel. Great bit. And I won't lie, as beautiful as the match was, as beautiful as that segment was, the thing that impacted me the most, watching Chuck Taylor's face seemed so disappointed and seemed so sad when he saw Yuta in the ring with Regal and everybody. It felt like his boy, like his little boy left him. And like Chuck with so little really sold it. And yeah, I don't know if we're going to cover it, so I might as well just bring it up now. This really does feel like it's a dissolution of the best friends group. Beyond Yuta now, we saw Statlander. She's getting rid of the face paint. Maybe they're going to break this group up, or maybe they're going to go back to basics, and it's going to be the best friends and Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, I guess. But I see them sort of tightening up, and I think that's going to be good for them, because I think the group sort of started to spiral out a little bit. I like everyone involved, but I think some changes are coming, and it's for the best.
Yeah, I would agree. They feel like they overextended a bit. Like it was at its best when it was just the three guys, and then Statlander running out with them was cool because of like the VTE stuff, but adding Wheeler and now adding Danhausen, it seems like too much for them. And I do have to agree, I also saw Moxley being a heel in this match. Like, I even thought I almost wrote it down and I didn't, because I wasn't entirely sure, but he was definitely doing heelish things, and part of me was like, yeah, but that's kind of just Moxley. And then the other part of me was like, no, but that's also heel shit. Like, he walks such a fine line where just the slightest shift in his character technically changes him from a heel to a face. So he's definitely doing heel shit. but like it's so in character for him, it almost doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that could be a tweener at any point just because that's how his character is built. Brian is such a smug prick when he's a heel that it's hard. Like, he's either a baby face or he's a bad guy. You know, he's either there's no in between. But Moxley could do that. But that said, he's a heel right now. He is.
Yeah, and even if he is a tweener, he's running with heels, so like by association, he's a heel.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. We had a quick backstage promo with FTR. They said they fired Tully Blanchard last week because he lost focus. Okay. And then the Young Bucks interrupted. Nick was dressed like a leprechaun. I wonder why. But they very quickly just said, no matter what they do, FTR will still be the second best tag team in the world. And that was that. I do believe we went to commercial and they came back with the Acclaimed. And we all love the Acclaimed. Basically, it was started as a promo to hype up Max's match with Keith Lee on Friday on Rampage. Then Ricky Starks and Hobbs came out and they started hyping up the Acclaim, being like, hey, it's your job to take out Keith Lee now. And then Swerve interrupted them and said, oh, you guys like stealing spotlights. So let me just remind you that Rampage is going to be whose house? Swerve's house.
Swerve's house.
And then as he was leaving, Max Caster goes, isn't that guy a rapper? Which I thought was great. But let's get to what we wanted to talk about before, the Jericho Appreciation Society coronation, I think they call it. And I can just sum this up with cool. Like, sure, whatever. Like, it's fine. I don't necessarily care too much about this. I think the name is taking a lot of steam out of it. But Jericho starts the promo by saying that the Inner Circle never appreciated him and that these men do. Eventually, he got to the point where he's not a professional wrestler. He's a sports entertainer. So that's going to be a thing now. Daniel Garcia took the mic, teased that he was going to say he's a professional wrestler, and then said he's also a sports entertainer. And then Jericho told the story of why Garcia appreciates him so much, which involved a car crash, Garcia breaking his leg, and Jericho donating money to help him recover. And
which is
like
legit, by the way. That is legit. I remember when it happened. Great storytelling.
Yeah, no, so do I. Like, I don't, I was say like I wouldn't think they would not. I wouldn't think they would make something like that up. That it definitely felt true. Even if I didn't remember it, I would have believed it. Then Jericho makes a reference to his former best friend Kevin.
Loved it.
Giving him a call saying that these two guys had just been fired by a different company, and he was hoping that Chris could get them on Talk is Jericho, maybe help get him a job. And those two guys were the tag team formerly known as 2.0, who will now be known as, and I had to look this up because I didn't quite catch it, their quote-unquote real names, Matt Menard and Angelo Parker. So now I got to learn two new names for two dudes I just learned their names. And then Hager gets his one line where he says the JAS is there to beat up professional wrestlers. And then Jericho declares it's the era of sports entertainers in AEW.
In what world Nick, I'm sorry. In what world is Jake Hager a sports entertainer? Who is entertained by him?
Not only that, the dude's like a legitimate professional fighter, and now he's going to come out and say he's a sports entertainer.
He's a legitimate knee to the crotch guy. Could he beat me up? Yeah, so could everybody else. But I am not afraid of Jake Hager.
I am, but
okay.
Mostly because I've been wrestled way too many times by people bigger than me. Hi, Matt. And yeah, I know it hurts. But Danny, you actually said something piqued your interest in this, and now you've piqued my interest as to what that is.
Oh, I actually kind of enjoyed this. I thought this is exactly where Jericho needs to be and what he needs to be doing at this point. Face Jericho ran its course. I don't like, I don't like him calling himself an influencer because he's like fucking almost 60, but like, I think that's the point. So I'm not gonna, be too harsh on him about that. But I don't know what to call them now. I'm just gonna call them the Italian Canadians. But they are so good, and them with Jericho makes so much sense to me. So that's why I like this a lot. And you know what? Yeah, I would prefer Danny Garcia and Brian and Mox's group eventually, but right now, this is the most charisma he's ever shown since he's been in AEW. So, and he got to talk on the mic in the ring. He would have never done that in the next 2 years if it wasn't for him being with Jericho. So, like, there's good things that are come from this. There's going to be some corny things that come along with this because, you know, Jericho is
and
great,
2.0.
but they're
intentionally
like
corny.
a good corny.
I know.
Yeah, they're like, you know, we don't give James shit for being corny because it's like an endearing corniness that we all like, you know. With Jericho, it's like if Eric was 70 years old and trying to, you know, say things to relate to us, you know. But so there's gonna be some corny stuff from Jericho, but this feels like the biggest hit for Jericho in a while because it's been a lot of misses for Jericho since pretty much the feud with the Pinnacle like started or ended. But like he needed this renaissance. I still think Jericho's one of the best, and he's I don't know. This isn't really relevant to it, but I was thinking of it watching it because I always have this debate with some of my friends. I'm not really debate because I think everyone agrees with me, but Jericho is so much better than Triple H. I know there's like I don't want to shit on Triple H right now because he's going through a rough time in his life, but like I wouldn't in terms of just talking about like the all-time greats, I would never say Triple H comes close to Jericho. What are you gonna say, James? I feel like you have a question you want to ask.
I mean, Paul Levesque, I wish him all the best, but fuck
Absolutely.
Triple H. Fuck Triple H.
Yeah.
Fuck him. I love the segment too. I really did love the segment. You brought up something great, and tonight is the reason why I realized that Garcia should be with Jericho and not Bryan or Moxley or Regal. Jericho is going to bring out the character in him.
Mm-hmm.
We all love Bryan Danielson. We all loved him when he was Daniel Bryan. But there is a clear point for Bryan where he stopped just being the guy from Ring of Honor who could wrestle and the guy who could be entertaining outside of that. And for me, I think that really came with Kane. I think that's really where people got to see who he was. Yeah. And I think Jericho is going to do that for Garcia. And he's still going to, I guarantee he's going to interact with Bryan again in the future someday, and it's going to be great. But this group is what's going to make him an all-around performer when we already know he could kick ass in the ring. So my mind, I got to give it to AEW. I got to give it to Jericho. I had something I wanted. I didn't get it. I was disappointed. But now I'm super excited. So thank you, AEW. Super happy for 2.0. Those are hardworking guys who deserve the chance to shine. I am a little concerned that I think we're going to see them eat lots of losses, which isn't something we saw that much in the Inner Circle. But I've already been proven wrong. I'm willing to be proven wrong again. Jericho, I loved whatever he was doing with his hair today. Just it looked nice, and the purple really suited him. And
that's what color that was.
It's because he's not dyeing his freaking like jet black anymore.
Like right there is always where the issue was. And
wait, real quick, I just say what's up to Derek in the chat. What's up, Derek? I love you, man. What's up? And hey, Kevin, what's up?
Hi, Kevin.
Carry on.
Derek, you already know I love you. My love for you goes way back. And Jake Hager could, I don't know. Jake Hager is a guy who could probably use the Dan Lambert treatment.
Of all the people, right? Like he's actually in Bellator.
I don't get it.
I know he's not a top team, which is probably why, but like it would make sense. Like I whatever.
Hey, I'll even give Hager props in this. He did not change his facial expression once the whole time.
He is good at that.
That was impressive.
Hager has been doing that since he won the World Heavyweight title, cashing in Money in the Bank. That man's face has stayed
See, he didn't even
for over a decade.
But he almost looked kind of sad, like a weird mix of like bored and sad. And I was like okay, Hager, and then he spoke, and I was like, you should have just kept that face the whole time.
It's either bouncer you don't want to fuck with or screaming, and those are his only two emotions. But I think you're right, James, and I've been agreeing with you a lot tonight. But Garcia definitely has the technical prowess where, cool, yeah, learning under Bryan and Regal would be cool, but what he needs is more promo work and more promo help. And being under Jericho is one of the best places, if not the best place he can be in AEW. Yep. So that's going to help him a lot there. Also, I think the last 2 weeks or so, Jericho's hair looked really good. Like it's I don't want to put it quite at Jericho debuting on Raw levels of nice, but like it's giving me those like vibes, but 20, 30 years later.
I don't know what happened to Jericho, but coming back from being sick, he has come back as like a revitalized human being, and good for him.
He cut all that weight. He looks great.
Yeah, he stopped drinking beer. And
really?
Nick, I swear that wasn't a shot at you, but you just make it so friggin' easy, man. I'm sorry. Oh boy. But yeah,
it's part of my charm. All right, moving on.
I think we're all a little bit more sad now than we were when we started this segment.
It's St. Patrick's month. I'm celebrating. So after this, we had a quick Serena D promo. Sheeta's back, hooray! And that was very, very quick. And then we got into the first title match of the night, which was Scorpio Sky versus Wardlow. Very hilariously, after Scorpio came out and said he would only be wearing one title, Dan Lambert was wearing the other title, which I thought was great. He was wearing the interim championship, which was funny as hell. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
I don't want to cut you off. Keep going.
Oh, okay, thank you. So commentary once again mentioned Sky's on a 370-day streak. We'll skip to the end of the match here, but Wardlow began with the powerbomb concerto. Eventually, Spears comes down to the ring, slowly onto the ramp, distracts the referee. MJF comes out of the crowd, pushes Wardlow into the ring post. He then throws Wardlow into the ring, where Scorpio Sky is able to get a roll-up for the win and to defend his title. After that, was it Austin Vanderford, I believe his name was? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He jumped Wardlow. He and Paige Van Zandt had accompanied Sky to the ring. He jumped Wardlow, and then eventually Spears and MJF joined in the fray as well, and Scorpio Sky. Eventually, we saw MJF pay Dan Lambert a nice stack of hundreds for his assistance. Spears hits Wardlow in the head with the chair, and then MJF knocks him out with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So I think, James, this went pretty much how we expected it. Maybe not the Dan Lambert and top team parts, but MJF costing Wardlow this title win was something we all kind of predicted. But I thought they did it very, very well.
Either we're a bunch of oracles who can just see the future when it comes to wrestling, or Wardlow has just never watched wrestling before getting into wrestling, because this was so like, it's not even fair to call it predictable. It's the way any normal story would go. But good for Scorpio Sky to get a big win. You know, this feels like a bigger win than his win over Sammy in some ways.
It's only Wardlow's 8th loss.
I think Wardlow's only ever had like 15 matches. So
no, his overall record is like 45 and 8 or something.
I'm kidding, but you know what I mean. Like
there's a lot of dark and
lots of jobbers. Yeah. Thank you, Derek. I do think I'm an oracle too. And I I'm actually excited for the TNT title now because I'm just itching. Every week I'm going to be wanting somebody to take this title off of Scorpio. Like, and hopefully Sky really gets me invested in him in the process. Like maybe he shows off, but every week I'm going to want the next big baby face to take that title off him. And that's cool. It doesn't feel like a Sammy Guevara. It's like, okay, we just got to get through this title reign. It's like, who's going to be the hero to take the title off Scorpio Sky? So that's cool. Wardlow, MJF, that story is going exactly the way it should. I can't complain, but it does feel a little paint by numbers right now, but that's to be expected. I agree with Kevin in the chat. Absolutely, Dan Lambert should wear that title everywhere he goes. This man is more entertaining every time I see him. Another comment from Kevin: Orange Cassidy is the next TNT champion, right? I don't think anyone's going to complain.
It's going to be a minute. He's hurt.
I mean, I think even with the one arm, I'll still be more impressed than with Scorpio Sky. And I feel terrible saying that because the guy's good, but I don't care. Me saying that, we just lost like half our viewers with me saying that about the one-armed Orange Cassidy.
I mean, I like Scorp. I will agree that he lost a lot of momentum following the SCU split, but I think he's done a bit better now since he's joined Men of the Year. And I know a lot of this is Lambert and the heat that he helps draw, but like he does have a lot of heat on him. Like people want to boo Scorpio Sky.
It's true. It's true. And one thing I got out of this segment, how much better would MJF look with the Men of the Year than with like FTR and friggin' Spears? He looks like he fits in with those two.
They do dress nicely.
they do. I feel like Ethan Page and him would be like best buds.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And they're all assholes, so it works. But I do think that this TNT title run for Scorpio Sky could help revitalize him a bit, because it's the first time I think he's going to get a lot of singles exposure on Dynamite. And we're going to get reminded that this dude can fucking go. Like at the beginning of Dynamite, like when AEW first started, everyone was saying, like, at least on commentary, he's like, oh, this is one of the most athletic dudes in the company. And he is. So I think now we're going to see the Scorpio Sky we all remember from back in the beginning, and people will start coming back around on him because he has been languishing, unfortunately.
But before you throw it to Danny, I do just want to say, I want to root for Scorpio Sky as a person. I want to see this character revitalized. I just have no reason to think it's going to happen. I'm hoping. I want to be proven wrong, but I'm skeptical.
So I'm going to throw it at myself right now and just say that I agree with what you just said, James. That's pretty much how I feel, except without the optimism.
I mean, that feels about right for you and me at this point.
This is like, no, okay. You know what?
Let it out.
I'd rather, instead of talking about this, how do you know Derek, James? How do you know Derek?
I went to high school with Derek.
Really?
Yeah, we went to redacted prep together because I don't want to give them a shout out in any capacity.
I understand. Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. Derek is the best. I know we already said that, but like
I love him to death, and I will always love him.
Hi, Derek. I don't know
you. He's great. He's fantastic. But okay, so this. Why didn't we just have Keith Lee win the ladder match? Like, what? How is this better than Keith Lee winning the ladder match and beating Sammy for the title? What is better about this? Nothing. The only thing that's good about this is, like Kevin said, Dan Lambert wearing the TNT title. That's the best. That's the only part I'm enjoying right now. Wardlow looks so dumb as a babyface. Like you said, like he's never seen wrestling before. Which is weird because he's usually on the other side of it, so he should really know how this goes. But Sky is a lame champion, but that's whatever. I will get over that because I did like Sky a lot when Dynamite first started. It just feels like a waste of a title reign is all. but we could have just had Keith Lee win the ladder match and have the MJF Wardlow stuff separate. Because now, what's going to happen? Like, one of these guys has to eat a loss now. MJF is coming off of a loss. Wardlow is now coming off a loss. So now there's just two losers fighting about who's going to get the next loss. Like, I don't like it.
Contract on a pole match. Book it.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is if Wardlow always wins the title, it's like, I don't need your contract anymore because I'm a champion here. They have to fucking sign me. They're not gonna. Last time they had a champion with the handshake deal, he left the fucking company. He's probably going to be at WrestleMania in 2 weeks. So, I hate this.
Wardlow just did an interview where he was like, Cody Rhodes taught me so much, and I think we just found out what he taught him. Oh God.
To the point though, you guys are making that Wardlow looks really dumb here. I thought commentary did a good job of saying that he pissed off so many people, like running errands for MJF and kicking the shit out of everyone, that he doesn't have a lot of friends in the locker room. So he probably didn't have anybody to watch his back. Like no one, I know JR didn't make it until like nobody came in to make the save, but there probably wasn't anybody there that he could get in, kayfabe to come out and watch his back to make sure Spears didn't interfere, to make sure MJF didn't interfere, and all of, American Top Team didn't interfere. So that, that it at least makes a little bit more sense. Granted, the second he sees Spears, he's got to know MJF's coming from behind. Like, he's got to know that. But, at least nobody being out there and nobody helping him does kind of make sense in that sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes sense. It kind of, but still, it seems like he should have, made some amends before he broke burned the only bridge he had in the company,
I agree.
Well, it's only been a week. He's probably going to find some help.
But the point is, maybe before betraying the only person who's employing you, make some friends first. I think that's the concept that Danny's trying to get out there. It's not that after doing it, he should make amends. It's have some roadmap of how your life is going to go before you make this huge change. But I don't know.
Kevin makes a good point, though. He doesn't have an accountability buddy to help him out anymore.
That's a great point.
If Sean Spears was my accountability buddy, I made a mistake somewhere. Did you see how that cold, dead look in his eye after he hit him with the chair? That is the look of a man who he experienced something that, I don't know, we could talk about on YouTube, but
in the biblical sense, oh God.
Mine
is always in that gutter, man. There's something with you.
Are you telling me that he didn't look like it? If you say that to me, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what he's going for. So
thank you, Danny. Thank you.
Sweet release. So let us release from this topic now and move on. That was quite the turn of phrase there. We had a very quick Jade Cargill backstage segment because she doesn't really have much to talk about other than she has nobody left to face. I'm sure they'll find somebody, but they got to figure that out. And then we had the last match of the night before the title match that we already reviewed for the main event. But we had the Hardy Brothers making their official AEW debut against Private Party. Couple things of interest before this started. First, I didn't think they were going to do this match right away. I thought they were going to do it wait a little more. This seemed a bit more like the marquee match out of this whole AFO versus the Hardys feud, at least for me. The guys that betrayed Matt versus him and his brother. The other thing I noticed was that they can't call them the Hardy Boys. I guess that's a WWE trademark. So they're the Hardys per Justin Roberts and the Cryon on the bottom, and commentary called them the Hardy Brothers a lot. So if you call them the Hardy Boys, you're wrong. Also, I haven't seen that many Jinkos in like 15, 20 years. That was a lot of denim. But so a couple notes on the match itself. Matt Hardy teased a Rager's Edge to much applause, which I thought was really cool. Private Party did a lot of the Hardy Boys moves. They got a lot of heat off of that, which I also thought was a really good way to pace out this match. Matt had a sick counter to Private Party's attempt at a poetry in motion that I guess it was kind of an uranagi. Like it was just a straight slam out of midair in the corner, which was just awesome.
Isaiah's head bounced off of Mark's back, and I'm so grateful nobody got hurt because that looked rough.
It was vicious looking. But the match ended with both Matt and Jeff hitting simultaneous twists of fate, and then Jeff hit a swanton for the win. Afterward, Andrade and the AFO, with now the Andrade family office, came out. So it was Butcher, Blade, Bunny, Jose. They joined up with Private Party and surrounded the ring. And then Darby and Sting came in for the save, and AFO backed off. So, James, I know I'm going to you first twice in a row, but it's the Hardys. Kind of have to hear.
I mean, what did you think last week? Last week, you saved me for last, and I was bullied mercilessly.
That is not fair. I tried to go for you first last week, and Danny and Chad bullied me into making you go last. Check the tape. So I'm going to you first this time because it's just me versus Danny, and I can fend off one person. What did you think
Chad
about?
Is the problem?
No, when it's
yeah. It was Chad that bullied you last week. I was pretty nice about it, honestly.
All right,
double team. But what did you think about the Hardys' first match in AEW?
I loved it. They hit all their spots that I hate you so much, Danny. They hit all of their spots. I love the double twist of fate bit. I don't think I've seen that from them. And I love how Jeff's twist of fate is different than Matt's. Like Jeff sits out into it.
It's like a stunner.
Yeah, it is more like a stunner. I love that. My favorite bit of the match was Shivani being convinced Jeff was going to go for the swanton, but he hits the splash instead, and then only gets the 2 count.
I like that too.
It's like Jeff was not ready, I guess, to bring out his biggest weapon for whatever reason. I guess maybe Jeff thought he could put him away, but everyone else knew, Jeff, this is what you got to do. I love that bit.
I think commentary mentioned that I think it was Mark Quinn who he hit it on was too close to the ropes for Jeff to hit it. I think Excalibur might have said that to regal it.
I love that bit. When Jeff did hit the swanton, my God, did he land on him? Like it was, he didn't roll out into it. He plopped on him, and it was brutal, but I loved it. Yeah, I am so excited for this. I agree with Danny. My favorite thing in AEW right now is the Bryan, Mox, Regal group, but I'm having so much fun with the Hardys back. I'm having so much fun watching them occupy the same space as Darby Allin and Sting, who, let me just put this out there for everyone. This is not the first time Jeff has interacted with Sting since Victory Road 2011. They teamed up in TNA /
It's just the first time that he remembers.
God damn it. But anyway, I hate you so much.
You went there, man.
I did, and I have no one to blame but myself, really.
If I'm not mistaken, that anniversary for Victory Road just passed like last week or something.
But the less we talk about it, I was trying to do something good here, and clearly it got away from me.
No, but I think it's just really nice to see Jeff come all the way back around.
There you go. I'll take it. Win. I will say I agree. I don't know why they did the Private Party match right out the gate. I know that they have a good relationship with Private Party going back years. Like they wrestled in the Northeast Indies, they wrestled a lot. And the Hardys really, like when Matt said that he saw something in Private Party years ago, that was legit. He was a fan of them from when they wrestled, I think, at House of Glory. Where our favorite Lion wrestles occasionally. Hi, Jay Lion. I don't know why you would do this match, and when you have a perfectly there Butcher and Blade right there.
Yeah,
I use my words.
That's the big match you're saving for, obviously.
Oh, obviously.
Jeff Hardy was in a band. Probably a shitty band. I never listened to it. The Butcher. Yeah,
So
the Butcher is in a not
wasn't
so
a band.
Sorry, Nick Maniotis. They're not that good. But
I think that's was now.
Well, they broke up.
They broke up.
Yeah. Every time I die, oh no, what a tragic loss for the world. I don't know why I'm alienating one of our podcast mates and even potential viewers, but anyway,
It's kind of your bit.
yeah, that's true. I do like alienating the audience, but
And James.
anyway, sorry, James. Are you done? I don't want to cut you off any more than I already have.
No, it's quite all right. I got my piece. I had fun with the match. Big surprise. I got my first Hardy W in the books for AEW. Let's get on to the tag titles.
Because like I see you say that as a joke, but I think that's why they already had the private party match, because they got a lot of tag team matches they got to get through. They got a lot of dream matches, and I think some of them are dream matches for me. I don't completely. That's not complete sarcasm. I want to see the Bucks match again. Mm-hmm. I want to see. That's pretty much it for the tag matches. But I want to see a Jeff Darby match.
Yes, yeah, big time.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about a Punk Hardy match, but I kind of want to see it. But I kind of don't.
It so bad. Danny, when I tell you, I think like there are two matches that I need in my life to give me like closure. It's Rock Brock and it's Jeff Punk, because I don't think I'll ever truly be able to accept CM Punk into my like wrestling life the way I should until there is some closure there. I am broken.
But I understand that, because
good word.
I feel like you probably feel somewhat about Punk how I feel about like Stone Cold, because Stone Cold ended Kane's title reign one day after it started, and I've never forgiven him for that. Also, he beat his wife, but like that aside.
It's Austin 316 Day. Come on.
So let's acknowledge it. He didn't just beat his wife. He beat several women.
Yeah, there we go. But okay, so real quick. This is important. Don't read the chat, James. I have to read this for you. Kevin wrote in, I think Jeff Hardy's band name is Every Time I DUI.
Kevin, I loved having you, but get the hell out now. It's not worth the view. I appreciate you.
You guys are,
but now you can leave.
You guys are so lucky I'm in charge of this channel right now and not James. He would be banning me from the chat so fast.
Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah,
I am jiggling with rage right now.
I do think they're just trying to get through as many matches as possible, because, all jokes aside, but here's another one. Dude's wrestling on borrowed time. Like, he is in way better health than he was a few years ago, but like his body is going to give out real soon. He can't keep this up.
I will say on a serious note, because it is like, I know you bust my chops about it, but it is something that I do think about. Just what can Jeff offer in 2022? But while he obviously wasn't moving like his prime self, I do think he looked to be in great shape. Like he didn't seem slow. He didn't seem like he was trying to catch up. He seemed like he was hitting all of his spots the way he should have been. And look, I'm not advocating for the Jeff Hardy singles run, but I think he's still got, like, to quote a great man, I think he's still got a lot left in the tank.
I think he has some left in the tank. I would never say a lot, but like I think he'll have a decent run. All kidding aside, it'll be better than I expect, but maybe not as good as you expect. It'll be somewhere in the middle, but
I'll take it.
Yeah,
which is basically where things usually pan out.
Yeah. So they're gonna burn through all these matches because they got, and same thing goes for Matt. Matt's also like the clock's ticking on his bump card. I
think more so. Like he looked good tonight, but oh man, he's walking pretty rough.
Yeah. So that's why they got to burn through these. Other than that, like this was fine. It's great hearing the music. I'm not going to pretend that I don't enjoy it and I don't get a pop out of it. I'll still laugh at, them being as old as they are, dressing like that still. But, I get it. Nostalgia. You got to do it. But
JR straight up still said, wow, they're still so young. And I was like, oh, JR. I love them, but no, they're not.
Also, Jinkos might be making a comeback. Don't quote me on that. But one of those like stupid, hey, like fashion articles, like, hey, Jinkos are back. And everyone's like, please no. But hey, if the Hardys, Hardys make them popular again, that'd be funny. I've been thinking about it a bit. I guess it kind of makes sense that they did this private party match tonight because it's on such a big show. Like, it's one of the themed Dynamites, and they tend to be bigger shows.
Yeah.
Instead of putting it off and just having it be on a random Dynamite, because the Hardys versus Butcher and the Blade would be such a meh match on this card. Like, this is a good card, so having this match there is good. Would I have liked a little more build to it? Yes, but I'm glad they did it on a bit of a more prominent stage than just like your random Dynamite. And then they also didn't extend this feud for 2 months just to get to another one of these themed Dynamites as well.
Well, the big match is the Hardys versus Andrade and his assistant, obviously.
Jose?
God. I also think, I'm not saying they're going to retire them, but I do think there is one day going to be a very big passing of the torch between the Hardys and Private Party. And I think they're going to they're going to build towards that rematch down the road where Private Party does beat the Hardys. And, it's going to feel like, I hope, a feel good moment, but we're way off from that.
Yeah, agreed. A couple more things I just want to throw out before we wrap up here. Danny, just off the top of my head, some other matches I can think of that would be cool were Red Dragon, I think would be nice against the Hardys. FTR maybe.
Absolutely terrible. If they beat FTR, I'm done with them completely.
Well, I do want to see them versus FTR, but I actually do agree with Danny. I do think FTR needs that win. But I do think it would be a great match. I think that would be a very fun match that I agree FTR needs to win.
Yeah, it only works if FTR wins, which means they can't have that match anytime soon because the Hardys would win it, and that's garbage. Absolute garbage.
Well, I'm not saying who I want to see win. I'm just saying I think it would be a cool match to see in general.
I agree.
But look,
absolutely, yes, it could be a cool match.
Like we said, the Young Bucks have specifically made this one of the most, if not the most, stacked tag team roster probably in the world. There's a lot of great matchups for the Hardys to have. So I don't think they'll be wanting for anything. They'll have plenty of time, or I guess in your opinion, Danny, a little bit of borrowed time, but they'll have plenty of matchups to have and hopefully as much time as they need to do all of it. The other thing I thought, just to put a ball in this match, was they came out and they played the hits and they played them well. And I thought it was actually kind of funny. JR even kind of said that. He was like, you know what the Hardys are going to do, but because they've been doing it for so long, but somehow they just keep getting it done. And somehow teams just can't defend against it. And I guess if that ain't the Hardys for the last 10 years, I don't know what is.
And no one's complaining. Moving on. Nick, just move on.
I know.
Before anything else gets said.
I don't think anybody is, except maybe
checked
Danny.
out, so.
I'll take it.
Well, speaking of checking out, that's pretty much all of Dynamite. There was a quick Red Velvet promo about Layla Hirsch's and hers match on Rampage on Friday, but that's it. We already did the main event. So I think that about wraps things up here for us. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We really need to get James to rap, and it's already too late for him to dye his hair green for St. Patrick's Day, but we're still going to make him do it. So if we get to 100 subscribers, we'll do that. I will put all of our social media stuff in the description below at some point. So be sure to check back here or check one of our other videos on the channel. All of the links are in there. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Be safe to St. Patrick's Day for those of you partying. Go Duke in the tournament. Go Fairfield Stags in the women's tournament. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time here on the Market Town podcast. So long, everyone. And it's not going to be